All right, back with another video book review. This is for Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher. Another book that I picked up, Kindle Unlimited, free for me, right? However much you pay for Kindle Unlimited, you get a lot of books. There's a huge selection, and Beyond Redemption is one of them. And I got this recommendation from, I saw the thumbnail for Matt's book reviews, and he put it as a 5 out of 5, and I said, wow, all right, well, okay. I didn't see anything that it was grimdark or anything like that, right? Because I kind of steer away from grimdark due to Abercrombie. But yeah, I went in thinking, all right, someone loved this book. Let me read it. Jumping in and not knowing a thing is exactly what you should do, because it's one of the only books that I've read, and I read, a lot of fantasy, and a lot of fantasy throws you in its own worlds, its own different worlds, unique worlds, but it never feels to me as if it's really game changing or something that is truly unique that I have to actually like pay attention to, because a lot of fantasies are derivative, or at least it has familiar things. There are wizards, there are goblins, there are orcs, there are fantasy creatures and medieval cities, that kind of stuff, right? You kind of know what you're getting with a lot of this fantasy. With this, I felt as if I was being thrown into Dune, the world of Dune, when you're getting words like Bene Gesserit thrown at you, or like weird Harkonnens or whatever, right? Like that kind of stuff, where the first, and I always tell people when I recommended Dune, and they said, okay, got it, I thought it was just me. When I'm like, all right, there's a whole bunch of new words that you're not going to know. They seem very important, but you're not going to know what they are. But get through the first, 100 pages, and you're going to start getting into the flow of it. The same exact thing is true for Beyond Redemption, because good gosh, do they throw very strange words at you. I think Geffergeist is one, and the words are, the names are weird for like everything. It's very strange, every word that's in it, and it's used in a way that you're like, okay, it's got meaning, but I don't get it yet. And it's all like fake German, all very, very weird, long names. And you kind of get pretty fast, and I don't want to spoil like the crazy stuff in this book, but anyways, uh, people's insanity is what gives them power. And it depends on what type of insanity you have, but beliefs define reality. It's like that saying. It's like, frick, what was that saying? It's always that saying when you're like, I'm not doing anything wrong, but it's like, hey, perception is reality. Like, hey, if your boss sees you, he doesn't see you all the time, but if he sees you on your phone for like, you just glance at your phone and you're like, no, I've been working all day. But it's like, hey, perception is reality. His only interaction with you has been him seeing you on your phone. So that's the reality. In a way bigger version of that, at least that's what I was thinking of. But in a way bigger version of that is the magic in this book, which is, hey, if people believe they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they can get other people to believe that, then that is what they are. They are the best swordsmen. They're, a ruler of men, massive, they're creating a god. They can do that, or they can become a god. It depends on the belief of people. And so that is an interesting dynamic, because it's not like, oh, I'm born with something, let me just cast some spells. It's, can you get other people to do that? Can you get other people to believe that you can cast spells, therefore now you can cast spells? Let's say it's not like a one-to-one example in this book for a character, but that is kind of the case here. And they all come in different forms, and it was wildly interesting. And there's different types, like Geffergeists versus what were they called? It was like an arsonist, but with a weird long name starting with an H. But they come in different flavors, people's insanity to define what they can do, and there's a lot of weird names to define what's going on there, and like the differences between them. And you don't get that for like a while, which is why I like really cemented down which is kind of like Dune, right? Where you're thrown into a very, very strange world that does not feel, in a lot of ways, it does not feel familiar. So you have to put that brain power through the understanding of what's going on. So that way it feels like Dune. In other ways, it feels like Dark Tower with its like super surreal, like body horror, grim, like nastiness that happens all the time. But it gave me Dark Tower vibes with that surrealist horror that happens like often in this book, which makes it incredibly interesting. There were many times in this book where my jaw was open just at what was going down on the page, and you could just clearly see it happening in your mind's eye. Like there was one, like probably 40-50% of the book, there was a scene, and it's a gruesome scene straight out of a horror movie that I couldn't take my eyes from it if you forced me with a gun. Like it was wild. Like it was a horror movie. It was a horror movie, but it felt like the Dark Tower in a lot of ways, and in a lot of other in all the other scenes, really, in the surrealist nature of it. And then my final, I guess, way of looking at this book is Joe Abercrombie's just first law books, right? And I've mentioned many times on the channel, he's kind of my benchmark for a lot of stuff that I put fantasy up to, in a not a good way. And it's why I don't like it. He's the father of grimdark in a lot of ways, or at least a patron saint, and I'm not a huge fan of him. So he's a benchmark of his writing, and his benchmark for me is very, very useful. Now, this felt like Abercrombie in the sense that Abercrombie does write very, unique and really solid characters that are memorable, that stand out, that last, that matter, and have their own flavor. And most of them are, not redeemable, let's say. This book has that, and it has that in spades. All the characters are unique, memorable, and they're also like all broken in their own kind of strange, grimdark ways. And this book I would classify 100% as super grimdark, as nothing good is happening truly in like most of it. However, I thought this book was amazing, if you can't tell. And it differs from Joe Abercrombie's. I didn't get a sense of nihilism, like overbearing nihilism, that you get with Abercrombie. There was, especially at the end, there was actual actions for good, actions towards good. And there was, in this world, it was so unique and different and fantastical, and the people's choice of being like, screw everything, kind of, and like nothing matters, or I'm just gonna do bad stuff, because you're in the shoes of really bad people almost the entire book. It makes sense. It makes sense what's going on and why they would be that way. With Abercrombie, it was like, oh, it's just the regular world, but everyone is just like truly awful all the time. Like, what's going on? In this, like, because the world is defined by other people's insanity, and everyone who has power is insane, and the sane are not in power, that changes things dramatically on how you should behave in this world. And it made sense. I really enjoyed it, and I found myself enjoying grimdark, weirdly enough. It just has to be excellent, I guess, because this is a truly excellent book, one that I immediately thought, oh, I guess I'm going to buy the book, hardcover, or however I can get it. I want it on my shelf. I don't have a crazy amount of books on my shelf. I'm not like, you're not going to see me with a wall of books behind me. I have a good, 30, 40 books that I've managed, because I move a lot, and I have moved a lot. I've managed, to only keep a few books around. So 30, 40 books, this one is 100% going into that shelf. And it is definitely a top 20 to 30 book immediately. I have no idea. I haven't stacked it yet, rack stacked it, but it is an instant classic. I recommend anyone to read this book. It is so fantastic. It's again a mix of like Stephen King. Dark Tower is my Stephen King kind of benchmark. So I go Dark Tower, I go Joe Abercrombie's First Law, and I go Dune with like the weirdness and the strangeness of it all. It's not some sci-fi, but it is how the feeling that I had when I read Dune and I was thrust into this strange place and world and with new terms and things. This is how that felt. So I think if I would ever to recommend it, it would be like that, and that it is a fantastic book, and I wouldn't try to spoil anything else. It is a funny, dark, interesting, truly unique book that I would recommend, again, to anyone, as long as you're not squeamish, because, good God, there are some very squeamy moments, which even made me go, oh gosh. But those are the moments where you can't look away, right? Those are the horror moments. Okay, well, I think that's all I have to say without going too far. I don't want to go into spoilers on this because it is just that great of a book, and I wouldn't want it to be spoiled, really, going into this, because I want everything to be new, and it was. So that was great. So that's that. I'm in a car, if you don't know, 5 a.m. before the job. And these are the times that I can do reviews. So this is when they are. I don't have my, any kind of background other than the dark car park of a job site. So there's that. On to the next book. Really, I have to give it a review, right? So it's 9.5. 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Go read it. On to the next one.